Dear listeners, welcome to the Deep Book channel. By subscribing to our channel you can be informed about detailed reports every time. While the USA is preparing at full speed against a possible Russian invasion in Ukraine, it continues its exercises in many different regions. News from the United States, which was engaged in different war and defense maneuvers with land, air, and naval forces, attracted attention. The crash of US Mirage F-1 aircraft after takeoff from the Arizona Air Force Base received widespread media coverage and once again questioned trust in U.S. aircrafts. We will examine all the details about the incident in which the Mirage F-1 fighter jet crashed in a moment. As you know, the F-35 warplanes, known as the largest warplane investment in the USA, had two major accidents in the last 2 months. And the F-35 fighter jet crash from the British favorite warship, HMS Elizabeth Queen, returning from the South China Sea and conducting exercises in the Mediterranean. After the accident that occurred during takeoff, both the UK and the USA sent a large number of search and rescue vehicles to the region. Because the submarine and warship belonging to the Russian Navy were also after the crash. Staff 35. While landing in the South China Sea recently, an F-35 aircraft crashed into the deck of the ship. This time during the exercise. After this accident, Russia once again started to look for the latest technology, warplanes of the USA in the region. These plane crashes, which the USA has done frequently in the last period, have brought great question marks and increased the distrust of US weapons. In his statements here, a Russian expert criticized the fighter jet projects produced under the leadership of the USA and underlined that Russian weapons are much more efficient and cheaper. This news was given to the Middle East, African and Asian countries, which Russia sees as the most important arms market at the moment in the headlines. Despite all the efforts of Russia to market its own warplanes, few countries still tend to buy Russian warplanes. US war experts, on the other hand, are of the opinion that these plane crashes, the cause of which are not fully explained, should be urgently clarified. Because arms sales, one of the main sources of the USA, can be seriously affected after these accidents. At the same time, these accidents and the uncertainty of the cause of the accident after the accidents caused the buyer countries to take a step back and fall into the hands of the Russians. Details of the Mirage F-1 crash that occurred today are still coming, that an aircraft home to squadrons of F-35, Joint Strike Fighters and F-16CD Vipers has crashed from Luke Air Force Base in Arizona. First responders are currently at the crash site, reported to be in a retirement community, and the Federal Aviation Administration has placed a temporary restriction on flight activity within 5 miles of the apparent impact point. Initial reports of the crash began to emerge at around 11 a.m. local time. Local media reports have identified the site of the impact as being somewhere within the boundaries of the Sun City Festival Active Adult Community in Buckeye, Oz. When reached for comment, a public affairs officer at Luke Air Force Base would confirm that a mishap occurred but could not offer any further details on the type of plane involved, the status of any pilots or other personnel on board, or what casualties or damage may have resulted on the ground. From the crash. The main unit at the loop is the 56th Fighter Wing, a training unit for future F-35A and F-16CD Viper fighter pilots. However, the base's various types of aircraft fly in and out on a regular basis. We will continue to update this story as more information becomes available. The Luke Air Force Base Public Affairs Office has now issued the following statement regarding the crash earlier today. At approximately 11:11 a.m. today, during a routine training mission, a contracted Mirage F-1 fighter aircraft operating out of Luke Air Force Base crashed 15 miles northwest of the base in an unpopulated area. The pilot was able to safely eject. The cause of the incident is under investigation. We are thankful for the continued outstanding support Luke receives from our community partners, especially during difficult situations like this. Finally, I'm grateful nobody was hurt on the ground and the pilot was safely recovered with only minor injuries. Support teams from 56th Civil Engineer Squadron, Fire Department 56th Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit and 56th Security Forces Squadron responded to the scene with help from the Buckeye Police Department, who are also on site. The Air Force's statement does not name the contractor that this jet belonged to. However, the Airborne Tactical Advantage Company ADAC, a subsidiary of Textron, has separately confirmed to the War Zone that one of its Mirages was the jet involved in today's accident. ADAC's full statement as follows: today and ADAC Mirage F-1 fighter aircraft supporting military flight training at Luke Air Force Base was destroyed when it crashed in an uninhabited area outside the space. The pilot safely ejected and is being treated for minor injuries. ADAC is investigating the incident and will work with relevant authorities to determine the cause and take any remedial action that is necessary. We ask for your understanding as we work through all the details of this investigation. ATAC will provide more information as it becomes available. It is unclear which one of a TSS Mirage F-1 specifically crashed. The company acquired a total of 63 of these aircraft. A mixture of single and two-seat variants second-hand from France. Online flight tracking software shows one of the single-seaters, which carries the US Civil Registration Code, and 633X was flying northwest of Luque earlier today, relatively close to where the crash site reportedly was. That plus the fact that only one pilot was involved in this incident could point to that jet being the one that went down. Regardless, this is the second crash of one of Odyssey's Mirages in the past year, with another one of the company's F-1s coming down at Tyndall Air Force Base in Florida in February 2021. The two pilots on board that jet were also able to eject. Another F-1 operated by a different private adversary air firm, Draken International, crashed near Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada in May 2021, killing the pilot. In fact, the Mirage F-1 fighter is known as a very old combat aircraft. By mid-1964, Marcel Dassault, aware of the impasse represented by airplanes with large engines, too expensive for export, initiated a separate design for a small Mach 2 airplane with company funds. The single-seater Mirage 3E2, like the Mirage 3 F2 with blowback wings and equipped with a SNECMA 8 or 9 Kelvin's jet engine, exactly like the Mirage IVI, was designed primarily for export. As of the end of 1965, it started to manufacture a prototype suitable for the Air Force with the contributions of its industrial partners. It would be called the Mirage F-1. The need of French Air Force personnel for an aircraft to replace the oldest Mirage IIs in an aircraft capable of landing at lower speeds at the same time triggered the Mirage F-1 program. Air Force personnel drafted their specifications for the all-weather low-altitude intruder in 1963. In its terms, this aircraft required supersonic interceptor capabilities, had to use short and primitively equipped landing strips, and was approaching at less than 140 knots 260 km/h when France announced its intention to withdraw from NATO's integrated military organization in 1966. The Air Force began focusing on an interceptor with secondary penetration capabilities. Tussauds engineering department began work on the Mirage F-3, but eventually shelved the plans because the withdrawal from NATO's integrated military organization required a realignment of the entire war equipment policy. The successive cancellations left Tissot without a successor to the Mirage 3. Overcoming this impasse and the need to secure a future if the variable scan aircraft program was also cancelled prompted Marcel Dassault to work on a new prototype, the Mirage F-1, a smaller version than the Mirage F-2 and Mirage. It can fly at Mach 2 and land at 125 knots thanks to its outstanding lift from the leading edge nose of its wing and its double-slit wings, which are quite difficult to attach to thin wings. Equipped with a temporary SNECMA 8 or 9 K31 jet engine, the Mirage F-101 made its maiden flight on the 23rd of December 1966 in Melun Villa Rose, piloted by René Bigot. It reached Mach 2 on the fourth flight on January 7, 1967. Flight trials continued until during a low-altitude high-speed transition. The Mirage F-1's horizontal stabilizers broke due to a different vibration phenomenon called flutter, and the aircraft crashed to the ground near Fos-sur-Mer, killing the Dassault chief. Pilot René Bigot, and despite the accident, 3 pre-production aircraft were ordered, namely the Mirage F-10203 and 04 with the 8 or 9 K50 jet engine. The Mirage F-102 made its maiden flight on the 20th of March 1969, piloted by Jean-Marie Saget at Easts, reaching Mach 1.15. Equipped with the SNECMA 9K50 engine, the Mirage F-103. On the 18th of September 1969, and the Mirage F-104 on the 17th of June 1970, equipped with all